Sunshine Robbie with Oracle card reading. I love how the storyline is developing and evolving, and it's really following a nice a cycle of healing. I recognize this as a cycle of healing, a cycle that we also go through when we go through the moon phases, and we match, we merge, we engage in connecting with the moon phases. Our healing process also merges with that. And if you notice, the videos are now being named as 1.1, 1.2 and so forth, because I feel like the storyline hasn't ended. Whoever is going through this process is going through this process blindly, in hindsight, blindly, but feeling and going through the process as it needs to be done. Feeling how to be, feeling how to act, feeling where to be, feeling what to do, but only making sense afterwards. And I'm on this journey. I'm on this journey when I'm realizing, there is more trust in how I feel, more trust in what's coming up for me. And therefore, I'm following this feeling, which then when I look back, I can see as guidance. I can see as being guided to be in a specific place, to be looking at a specific thing, to be seeing all these synchronicities to help me use as clues of what the next step to do, what I'm being called to do and to be and to be. And the cards that came up today is a continuation from the reading from yesterday. Even though they are timeless and each reading can represent something for you individually, I also see this reading as a whole, all these readings for the last week as a whole. And fragments come up, and you can see there is an eye in the person's hand. It's the left hand. The eye on the left hand represents the masculine energy. The masculine energy is able to see what's happening in the matrix and in 3D, is observing. And as you can see, there's a lot of fire and colors in this person's picture, chest. It looks like there are tunnels either side of this person, and there's a lot of energy. There's the phoenix, there's birds, there's abstract colors, and this person is feeling everything, is really working with the fragments of herself, himself. They're coming up for this person to see. There's fragments that we are being called to see of ourselves, like your own shadow are coming at you, to be acknowledged, to be seen, to be released, to be loved. Yeah, there are fears that we need to see. There are things that we need to see to feel grateful for how it happened to us in the past and where it took us, where it led us, what lessons that we've learned. And fragments is all about this. It's little things, these parallel lives that we have lived, these past lives that we have lived, past choices, future choices, current choices. These are all fragments in this huge soup of energy that we are. And the next card that came up is facing your fears. Look for ways to strengthen your connection to the universe and others. Stay peaceful and calm in the knowing of who you are. And the readings are telling us this. We are being called. If you're struggling to put into words, you're already doing this. This reading is not to tell you what to do. This reading is to validate what you already feel, what you already know. And the cards are helping me put into words what we have just been through recently. Doesn't have to be a long time ago. And that we navigated. And when we look back, we see how we navigated through this feeling, through this understanding. And only now we can look back and see and understand and put into words. And perhaps you're going through this right now as well, and just listening. the words resonate with your truth, and your truth is understood in a different perspective, in a perspective of the written language. That's what I mean. So there are fragments that are coming up to help us also see our fears. Okay, I talked about the inner tower moment yesterday, and there's also an outside tower moment coming up. We are on the brink of something. I can feel it. I've been sensing it for the last few days, and the cards are telling me as well. It's validating. And if you are ready, it's for you to set the intention. You know, you probably set the intention on the full moon of your desires, but now it's for you to set the intention through the quarter moon to help you go deep into yourself, to understand why those fears are here, why are they coming up, and how are they affecting you, how are they shaping you, how are they interfering and deceiving you, almost like emotional blackmail to yourself, self-sabotage to yourself. What is it that this fear is blocking from you to experiencing? And when I took the cards for the crystals, 2 cards wanted to come out, and I decided to take it. So it's pyrite, and the other one, which I struggle to pronounce, is molybdenite. The pyrite, I grew up with pyrite in my house. My father was fascinated with this pyrite. Pyrite is also known as the fake gold. And I'm very familiar with this energy. I grew up around this energy, and this energy talks about protection, but on a more in-depth, psychic protection, energy protection, emotional protection. But also through that, you are finding emotional balancing. You are also finding balancing your own inner critic, because your fears sometimes can come from a thought of an inner critic moment, right? I fear this because this can happen to me, and it's not even happening. It might not even be true, but we are fearing because it's coming from old programs. And the pyrite has that energy that helps us really balance our inner critic, because it helps us see exactly what we're being critical with, to allow us to then reach emotional balance. And the next crystal, molybdenite, is the acceptance of all of you, with all your fears, with all your fragments, with your dark night of the soul, with your love, with your joy, and being grateful that all the lessons that you have been, gone through, they happen through perfect divine order. Every experience has been a lesson, no matter how difficult, how hard they were, and they're teaching you depth of unconditional love, because what you saw is not what you decided you're gonna build for you, right? Sometimes we grew up in a household, there is chaos, there is sadness, there is grief, there is resentment, there is fight, and we know this is not what we want for us, and we grew up holding all these, but also building something completely different. So now you probably see yourself in a family that is aligned, that is happy, that is, that has a good environment. You built a good environment for your home, but you are still fragmented, fighting with these shadows coming up from the past. Where moments where you feel like you shouldn't be triggered, but you are. And these are the things we're being called to see, so that the environment that you built, and the flow and the alignment that you built, and the loving environment that you built, are truly, truly loving, and not, surrounded by bottled up old emotions, programming, and feelings that we grew up with as a child, because we don't want to pass that on to our children. So we know best, but we are dealing with these fragments, with these shadows surfacing every so often through situations. And these are your opportunities to clear them, to release them, to accept the whole of you, and acknowledge, release, and take it out of your energy imprint and only be left with the lessons of unconditional love, because a dark night of the soul is inevitable sometimes, you know. These cards are showing us the process of going through the dark night of the soul and then coming out into love. And it's okay. It's okay. You've been through the dark night of the soul many, many times, but now you are choosing to step into it in a different perspective, in a different way. You're not just going into it and riding the emotions and killing yourself for it, but you are going into it with an open mind and an open heart space to see in more depth the experiences that you have dealt with in the past in a completely different perspective. Are you ready to see your experiences, your perfect divine order experiences and lessons that you have been through a completely different lenses? And this is what this full moon, the wolf full moon, is bringing us. It's bringing us this fragment for us to go into a completely different depth of darkness, to be able to see a completely different depth of light. There is so much light for us to understand. There's so much unconditional love for us to learn. And it's all perfect divine order how we're going to learn this. But sometimes we do learn through the darkness. We have to embrace the darkness as a way of seeing the light, deeper into the light, deepen gradients of the light. This is what we are going through right now with the full moon. And I love how the card of stiffness came out, because stillness, because as we come out of the full moon now, we're coming into the quarter moon and then into the new moon again. We are going into a moment of stillness where we're going to just calm everything down. We're going to review everything that we've been through, that we actually moved through a blind hindsight. We moved it through feeling, and then we can actually later on sit and go, right, so this is what was happening. Now I know what I need to integrate, and the integration will come again in the next new moon, right? And this is what we do in our Patreon community. We work through the moon phases, through the healing phases, and we work together. We expand our minds. We use oracle cards for guidance and validations, and we also work together to build this portal of love through our heart chakra meditation, which then allows us to see more clearly what we're going through right now and what's expected of us from a soul level, your soul answers. So I highly recommend to join us today. Claim your free call today, Thursday the 16th at 7:30 p.m. UK time. Claim it today. Let's join this call. It's an amazing call. And we'll be going through a moment of stillness very shortly. I can feel it. And I always take a animal card, and the animal card is the bee. It's the Wheel of Fortune. And I love how the bee came out, because the bee represents for me group work, okay, teamwork. This is what the Patreon is all about, and we're going through this process together. We're being held together. You know, we're not alone. We're all going through the same healing through different stories, through our own stories, and everything is honest and true and validated. And the more we can validate ourselves, the more we can move forward with trust. So the bee come up at the end. It's just really, really quite amazing. And the Wheel of Fortune. So, I had a message that came through. I was coming out of the car last night, and the message was simple. It was just a sentence, and he said, we all know that there is light at the other end of the tunnel, that there's light at the other end of the dark night of the soul, that there is light at the end of each difficult moment. And I love how the dark night of the soul came with the Wheel of Fortune, and the stillness in between. This is the order that the cards came out, and even the order is speaking of a process of healing. And it's true. You know, if you face your fears of going through the dark night of the soul, and then allow yourself that moment of stillness, knowing that you are protected by the crystals, the pyrite and the molybdenite, you know there is resolution at the end. The Wheel of Fortune is that. The Wheel of Fortune is us understanding this life cycles, karmic events, and how we are finalizing them, we are transmuting them, we are you know, working through them and releasing them. Okay. My heart was racing and fluttering and going in all sorts of different sensations and emotions, and I'm picking up everything. I'm being the observer on my heart right now, and I can feel all these energies, and I hope this has reached you in ways that are only coming to validate you. And if there's anything here that you don't think resonates with you, don't listen. Yeah, don't listen. Don't confuse your mind, because you definitely cannot confuse your heart. So go with your heart. Thank you so much for being here today.